Welcome back, everyone. I'm so glad you're here for today's explainer because we're looking at a totally fascinating and maybe just a little bit terrifying paradox. Think about Fernandina Beach and Amelia Island. I mean, it's an absolute coastal paradise, right? You've got the ocean breezes, those stunning historic homes, the towering live oaks. But here's the secret we're unpacking today. Those exact same beautiful coastal elements that make Amelia Island a paradise, they are quietly, invisibly destroying your home's plumbing.
Okay, let's dive into this. The science behind what's actually happening underground and right behind your walls is pretty incredible. Essentially, your plumbing in this local environment is aging in what we can only really describe as dog years. Yeah, dog years. It's not just your standard everyday wear and tear. We're talking about an accelerated breakdown driven by a really unique combination of coastal climate factors that, frankly, inland homes simply never have to face. To put this invisible threat into perspective, just look at the stark contrast in lifespans. If you live, say, just a few miles inland, a standard water heater is going to give you a solid 12 to 15 years of life. But here on the coast, you're looking at maybe 8 to 10 years tops. So why the huge drop-off? Well, units exposed to the outdoor air or even just sitting in your garage are constantly breathing in this humid, salt-laden air. They literally rust from the outside in and the inside out so much faster. It's crazy. To really grasp what's going on, we need to meet the 5 main coastal enemies attacking your home. First up, saltwater air. This introduces chloride ions that just relentlessly pit and corrode metal pipes and shutoff valves. Second, we've got sandy soil, constantly shifting right under your foundation. Third, those gorgeous massive live oak trees. Yeah, their aggressive roots are always thirsty, seeking out moisture, and they will absolutely bust right into older clay or cast iron drain pipes. Fourth is hard water scale from calcium and magnesium, which slowly chokes your pipes over time. And finally, the wild card, storm surge flooding from hurricane season that totally overwhelms low-lying drainage systems. Let's zoom in on that sandy soil for a second, because the mechanics of how this fails are actually super misunderstood. Unlike nice compact clay or loam, sandy soil gives incredibly poor support. Over time, those super heavy underground drain pipes literally begin to sag under their own weight. This creates what plumbers call bellies, or low spots in the line. And once you've got a belly, waste and debris just sit and collect in those dips instead of flowing out to the sewer like they're supposed to. This specific soil issue is exactly why Fernandina Beach properties deal with chronic slow drains and frequent backups that folks inland just don't see. And then, of course, there are the symptoms that act like a literal jump scare right in your own house. Have you ever turned off a faucet and heard this loud, aggressive bang behind the wall? That is called water hammer. It's essentially a shock wave caused by sudden changes in water pressure, and it's often made a whole lot worse by pipe straps that have just vibrated loose over the years. It goes hand in hand with other totally annoying quirks like the cold water sandwich effect. You know, where your nice hot shower suddenly blasts you with freezing water, or that sudden weird gurgling coming from the toilet when you drain the bathtub. Now, what's really interesting here is that the main trigger for this damage actually comes down to one specific number, 80. When the municipal water pressure exceeds 80 psi, which, by the way, happens quite a bit during local supply fluctuations, it severely amplifies that water hammer effect we were just talking about. Those shock waves over 80 psi, they're quietly, slowly destroying your pipe joints and connections. To actually fix this, homes in our area usually need professionally installed pressure regulators and water hammer arresters to absorb those massive pressure spikes before they do damage. But here's where things get really fascinating. These threats are actually hyperlocal. Different neighborhoods are battling entirely different plumbing enemies. In Old Town near Center Street, you've got historic homes dealing with decades-old galvanized steel and cast iron pipes that are just rusting from the inside out. Then hop over to Egan's Creek, and those marshlands bring high water tables and serious seasonal flood risks that can actually push sewage backwards. Yikes. And down in Summer Beach, it's all about year-round vacation rentals facing massive wear and tear from constant high turnover. So, a boat washing station on the Intercoastal needs a completely different strategy than a vintage cottage downtown. Which brings us to a really crucial crossroads for homeowners. You can either go with a quick patch or invest in a proper coastal repair. Look, a quick patch inland might actually hold up just fine. But here, temporary fixes are going to fail within months because they completely ignore the harsh environment. And that is exactly why introducing Titan Plumbing Jacksonville into this explainer is so important. They are the true local experts who genuinely understand the difference between slapping a cheap bandage on a pipe and actually engineering a permanent solution that's rated specifically for our high humidity and salts. Let's map out exactly how Titan neutralizes these specific coastal threats, because they definitely do not use a one-size-fits-all approach. To fight saltwater corrosion, they're swapping out copper for PEX tubing during repipes. And they drop sacrificial anodes, which are these special metal rods that literally attract rust away from your tank right into water heaters. For the sandy soil and root intrusion, they deploy high-tech drain cameras to pinpoint the exact sag or root mass, then upgrade those failing lines to modern PVC. Hard water gets neutralized with dedicated water softeners. Even their drain clearing is next level. They use hydrojetting machines to completely blast away years of buildup, rather than just poking a tiny temporary hole through a clog with a standard snake. And since these unique coastal stresses have a nasty habit of causing parts to fail incredibly suddenly, this next number is absolutely vital. 24. Titan Plumbing offers 24/7 emergency response. Because, let's be real, burst pipes, overflowing toilets, and sewer backups, they definitely do not care if it's 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And what's fantastic here is that when you call, actual real people answer the phone. No frustrating answering services, and they dispatch trucks to your Fernandina Beach property within the hour. When that truck pulls up, it's basically a rolling warehouse. We're talking fully stocked, commercial-grade service trucks loaded with everything from water heater elements and PEX fittings to heavy-duty drain augers and shut-off valves. Titan's extreme level of preparation means they knock out most repairs on the very first visit. They completely eliminate that gut-sinking anxiety of hearing a plumber say, "Well, I gotta order the part, see you in 3 days," while your house is just sitting there without water. Getting your plumbing sorted out really should be totally frictionless, and this brilliantly illustrates how Titan makes that happen with a super simple 3-step process. Step 1, call and schedule. Step 2, diagnosis and approval. Step 3, repair and verification. Honestly, the absolute best part of this whole flow is Step 2. They use completely transparent pricing, they diagnose the issue, and then you approve the exact final cost before a single wrench is ever turned. No hidden fees, no weird pressure tactics, absolutely zero surprises on the back end. This quote really hits the nail on the head and summarizes their core ethos. We fix your problem today instead of making you wait for an order to come in. It totally cements Titan Plumbing Jacksonville as the reliable, honest, and highly specialized solution that Amelia Island's unique ecosystem demands. They know the local codes inside and out, they pull the proper permits, and they always leave your home in way better shape than they found it. So, as we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative question. Will your plumbing actually survive the season? We've seen firsthand how the beautiful coastal air and shifting sandy soil are waging a completely hidden war on your pipes right now. Please, don't wait for a tiny invisible pinhole leak to turn into a major, catastrophic property flood. Take control, get an inspection, and make absolutely sure your coastal paradise remains exactly that, a paradise. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.